With sales volumes on the rise, are prices following? Let's dive into the numbers for this month for July 2025. All right, before we begin, wanted to thank you so much for watching this video. Please like the button below, like this video, subscribe, and comment. It really helps our YouTube algorithms. Okay, let's dive into the numbers for July. Okay. With the lead on this video, I said sales volumes on the rise. So yes, they are on the rise. They're up 10.9%. Bull market is back. No, I'm kidding. The bull market is not back, but certainly this is encouraging. Like, we're seeing volumes up in July. Now, again, you don't want to read too much into numbers because it is summer and typically the market quiets down in the summertime. But this is certainly a reversal of trend. Like we are seeing a little bit of a uptick in volumes for July. Will that continue? I don't know, but I think this is a little bit of a snippet of optimism, if you will. Now, I said with volumes up, what's happening with listings? Well, they're also up, and they're actually up higher than the volumes that we're seeing. So that's typically not a great sign, right? And we've been seeing this trend sort of carry out over the last few months. Like we've been seeing an uptick in active listings, and that typically means prices will fall as a result. So, like if sales volumes outpace active listings, that means demand outpaces supply. Well, prices go up. The reverse is also true. When supply outpaces demand, well, prices typically follow. So what are we seeing with average price? No surprise, prices are down from year over year, 5.5%. Okay, so a couple interesting anecdotes here. I was looking at what's happening with average price. Now, this is GTA wide. Like I'm not talking about specific neighborhood, but like specifically looking at GTA condos and GTA freehold. Actually, the average prices have decreased by a very, very similar amount. When I say that's interesting is like I'm talking about like all the way from Burlington to Oshawa to Newmarket, right? Like that's a pretty big catchment. And like, I said in my last video, like neighborhoods behave very, very differently. Like for instance, we have clients that are looking to purchase a property in Riverdale, others looking in Junction, and we're seeing multiple offers very common in those two pockets. Like specifically the, what I call entry level, like sub 1.5 million. Like, there's usually 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 offers on properties. Now, conversely, you look at what's happening in Aurora. I'm not picking on Aurora, but, there's a lot of inventory, taking time to sell, prices have come down. So like, be careful when looking at average price. Doesn't mean like all property types within that segment are going down by the same degree. But again, just looking on a macro level, it's not surprising since I just said that, we're seeing active listings outpace volumes. So actually, before I dump into this number, when I talk about average price, now when you say it's, oh my goodness, it's down 5.5%, prices are actually flat if you're going all the way back to January 2023. So like we've been seeing a little bit of like, oh, it's up 5%, down 5%, up 5%, down. Like I'm generalizing a little bit, but basically prices have remained unchanged. Now, if you go back to all the way to 2023, there certainly has been greater softness in the condo market than there has been in the freehold market. And I'm talking like just blanket terms, right? And it makes sense. There's new supply of condos coming on stream. Buyers aren't outpacing that new supply, so that means prices have come down. And, are they going to go down further? Most likely, because there are still a number of new completions that are going to be happening within the next 12 to 18 months. And that's all the stuff that was basically been sold back in 2020, 2021, 2022, right? But guess what? There basically hasn't been any new sales, and I'm not saying any new sales, but like basically very, 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 very few condo launches since mid 2022. And so that basically poses a problem for supply, call it 4-ish plus years out. So that would mean 2026, 2027, we're not going to see the same level of completions, right? So like the market's going to go with ebbs and flows, and we're going to see basically, in my opinion, we're going to see probably a bottom in the condo market somewhere in 2026. Like, is that January? Is that July? I have no idea. But because we're not going to see the same level of new supply coming on the market, we're going to see the absorption rates go up. That's my prediction. Anyways, not a prediction video, but I'm just talking about trends and what's happening in the marketplace. Okay, average month over month down 4.5 from June to July. Now that's not alarming in the least bit, because this happens basically from every June to July. Why? Well, peak spring market typically peaks in June or May. Most of the time it's June. If you look back the last 20 years, it's basically been June. So what happens is, property prices sort of ramp up through June, and then basically very few properties are new listings in July. So basically it's the leftover stuff from June, and so therefore we're going to see a little bit of a downtick in prices. So this has basically happened over the last every single year since 2002, with the exception of COVID in June 2020. So again, I expected this, and probably we'll see a further decline next month, but probably a much smaller percentage point than a 4.5. Well, anyways, wanted to keep this video short and sweet, and wanted to thank you so much for all the feedback we've been getting. We've been getting amazing feedback from you, so thank you so much for reaching out. Any questions about how these stats apply to your particular neighborhood or asset type, whether it's a condo or freehold or townhouse, please feel free to reach out. Happy to answer questions. Thank you so much, and enjoy your summer, and we will see you for next month's video. Thanks so much. Bye for now.